So my question is, when does AI slop stop being considered slop? Or will AI creations always be considered slop? In my opinion, from what we've seen so far with AI creations, videos, images, music, etc., there's enough of an uncanny valley to where we know it's AI, and it triggers that uncomfortable feeling of, you know, lack of creativity and soullessness in terms of its output. But I have a feeling that we're turning the corner because you already have boomers getting fooled on Instagram reels of these AI avatars in these podcast formats and other fake scenarios that look realistic, to where people genuinely are no longer interacting with the content in a way that's talking about how it's AI. They're actually interacting with the topics that the AI is talking about because they can't tell it's AI. I think we've turned the corner on AI just being slop always. And now what's being produced is good enough to fool middle-aged and older-aged people. And what happens when we turn the corner on it fooling younger people? And there's going to be another layer to where it gets so good that even if people know they're being fooled, know it's AI, still engage with it anyway. And that's outside of, the AI enthusiast community who, are able to enjoy AI stuff right now, knowing that it's AI. There's going to be a section of people who have been resisting AI for better or for worse. They're valid or invalid concerns that they've had with the development of AI, how it's come about, whether it's stolen intellectual property or not. And those people are actually going to start to get fooled, and they're going to, fall in love with a work of art or a creator that they believe is real, and will eventually, or maybe not eventually, come to realize that it's AI. And I think we're approaching that quicker and quicker with these more advanced models that, even as someone who's been researching the AI stuff on a daily basis, I've been keeping up with it as much as I can. I am starting to actually be genuinely impressed by the outputs of these video and image and music models. So then the next frontier, after we've left the slop era and entered into the AI power era, that is going to be an insane time, because there'll be enjoyable content that's seamless, flawless to a certain degree. So once we enter into the AI power era, all of a sudden the content's not easily going to be identifiable as AI, or potentially impossible to detect. And the content is actually going to be comparable or better to stuff that people already enjoy. And that's why these podcast format AI videos are doing so well, is because people do love that format and it's easily digestible. And these models are getting good enough at producing realistic looking podcast footage to where people don't even realize that those people aren't real. The content's going to get so good and flawless that all of a sudden we're going to enter this new creativity paradigm where what took millions of dollars of budget, now you're going to have solo founded movie studios, quote unquote, that create, blockbuster level productions with one person. And that's actually pretty exciting. I understand the detractors of AI and the various arguments that have been made against it. I can recognize and appreciate the value in essentially people being able to express their creativity and their soul through this art that otherwise would have never been created. So I don't think that having the gatekeep of budget and, these massive production pipelines required to create such content needs to be in place on humanity. I think if we can have tools that give people the capability of expressing the stories that live within themselves, that's amazing. So that's going to be an awesome paradigm to be in. On the other hand, it is going to flood the market. You're going to have a lot more movies than you have now, and you already have too many. You're going to have a lot of shows, more than you could watch, and you already have too many. So that's going to be interesting. I'm sure initially, right now, the credits that it costs to produce AI videos is pretty prohibitively high to make, long videos. But as those costs reduce and as the competition gets hotter for these AI movie studios and the capability of production for these works of art, you're going to see a new flood of works of art that never would have been created. And that is an interesting paradigm. So I think we will all be able to collectively be able to appreciate that we actually are going to leave the slop era. And then the new problem is going to be too much good content to watch. Too much well-produced content for any one person to possibly consume. And then our feeds are no longer going to be flooded with subpar junk, but it's actually going to be flooded with so many cool things that your niche is really going to thrive, whatever that niche is. And this is another concept I've been talking about where essentially there's going to be hyper niches where there's so much content of every niche that really you're going to have to be narrowed down because every single niche has so much content. So I think we should all be rooting to get out of this AI slop era as soon as possible. And I don't think that the AI is inherently going to be slop forever. I think there will be a turning point, and we could be approaching that here pretty quickly in terms of everything that AI produces is actually not ending up to be slop, but indistinguishable from what the humans before it have made. And there's still going to be value in the curation of these works of art, in the taste and the execution that goes into it. So there's still humanity behind everything for now. There's going to be down the road, there's going to be AI agents who make movies, which is a pretty mind-blowing concept. But yeah, eventually down the road, we're going to have autonomous content studios. And that just, that could end up, that changes the landscape of things. There's so much content out there. It's just, that's an interesting problem to think about. But anyway, let me know what you guys think about the evolution of slop. Will AI always be slop? what's going to happen when one person can create an entire movie, that kind of thing. Thanks for watching.